Welcome to Bryer's Music Showcase. I'm Bryer and welcome back to another video. As you can tell, the holiday seasons are upon us, and therefore I got my Christmas getup on, I got my Santa hat, I got Santa Paws back on, and I got the whole setup all decorated, of course. And I even got a little tree here. So, even though this video is not about Christmas music per se, I thought it'd be kind of fun to kind of reflect a little bit, because over this past year I've accumulated quite a bit of live albums. Now, I've said in the past I'm not the hugest fan of live albums. I am more of a studio person, but I will admit there are some pretty good live albums out there, and I just want to highlight a lot of them. So I'm just going to go through all the live albums I own right now, and I will shout out Mickey because he's the one who pretty much is the reason why my live album collection has doubled this past year. So again, thank you, Mickey, and I know he's going to send me more at some point, so definitely looking forward to see what he sends next time. Alright, so without further ado, if you enjoy live albums, please give this video a like, subscribe if you are new, and of course in the comments below let me know if you're a fan of live albums, yes or no, tell me why, and of course let me know what's your favorite live album. So now let's get started. Featured Bryer here. Quick thing that I forgot to mention while doing my intro is that I am not including partial live albums. You know, stuff like Ummagumma by Pink Floyd, or The Byrds Untitled, or even Hell Freezes Over by Eagles. As some of you know, some of these, even though they have a ton of live cuts on here, there's some studio stuff. And, you know, there's some that are half live, half studio. Again, I don't really want to count these because, again, it's kind of a weird mixture of the two. So maybe one day I'll do a separate video on these types of albums. But I just want to make that distinction. So now let's get this video started. So we're starting off with some jazz. Now, I've actually shown this album quite a bit of times. It's actually one of my favorite, like, pure jazz albums I have in my collection as of right now. And that is the Bill Evans Trio. And the album is called Waltz for Debbie. So, pretty good live album. There's not many instruments on here. It's just Bill Evans on piano, and then you have bass and drums. And it sounds very good. I think the three of them sound really nice together. So, again, it's like mainly 6 songs. Of course, this includes some bonus tracks. So, it's interesting. So you have Bill Evans on piano, like I said, and you have Scott LaFaro on bass, and his bass playing throughout this whole album is amazing. I think it's mostly upright bass, it's not quite electric, but still very cool. Then you have Paul Mochian on drums. I don't know if I said that right. But yeah, if you like some jazz music, I really suggest you give this a listen. I think, again, the playing is very well done, and it is played at a club, I'm assuming, and there are some audience noise, but again, I think it's kind of nice. It kind of adds to the atmosphere. So again, very good one. Now, I actually own 2 copies of this one. So I have 2 copies of The Who Live at Leeds. So one of them was given to me. Shout out to Scott from Soundless Studios. He's actually the one who sent me this particular copy. So it's a single disc version, and of course the original live album was a little bit shorter, had only 5 songs originally, but of course this CD expands it. You have a lot more songs on here. But not long afterward, I actually went to a record store and I found this version, and that is the deluxe edition, which has a lot more. It pretty much has all the same songs that's on the single disc, but on the second disc it actually comes with the entirety of Tommy, which of course they were touring Tommy at the time. So it's kind of cool that they actually have the entire, like, Tommy suite, or the concept album itself. So very cool stuff. So if you are going to get Live at Leeds on CD, I would recommend you get the deluxe edition if you can get your hands on it. I'm not sure how much it goes for now, but still, I think it's worth it. So there you have it. All right, here's another classic one. We have the Allman Brothers Band with, of course, At Fillmore East. Of course, Southern rock at its finest. Of course, Duane Allman and Greg Allman and company, just very good. Some really great guitar playing, which is something to expect from this band. And yeah, really great stuff. And I believe this is also an expanded edition that I have right here, because I I can't remember how many songs the original live album did, but of course this one is 2 discs, and yeah, they definitely jam out a lot. I mean, Whipping Post is like where is it, like 22 minutes. So, but still, I actually don't mind a lot of jam stuff. You know, as long as the instrumentation is interesting, then I usually can have a good time. And I think the Allman Brothers do a very solid job. So, yep, great one as well. Okay, here's Humble Pie, performance at the Fillmore. Of course, you have Steve Marriott and company. I believe Peter Frampton's on here as well, if I'm not mistaken. But yeah, again, really great rock music, very bluesy, and yeah, very good. I don't have a whole lot to say about this one. This is one I haven't listened to that often, but I remember when I first heard it, I had a good time. So again, nice to have at least. I think it's a classic. Of course, not as classic as this one. Now, this is definitely one of my favorite live albums that I have, and that is Deep Purple, Made in Japan. Yep. Again, Ian Gillan's just killing it on here. Like, his screams are just absolutely fantastic, and Ritchie Blackmore's guitar is also really great. Again, you have nice drumming from Ian Pace. Yeah, and of course John Lord's keyboard, and might as well give some love to Roger Glover too. The whole band just firing at all cylinders here. Definitely a classic for a reason. So yeah, splendid live album. Another one of my favorites, and that is Genesis Live. So yep, this is during the Peter Gabriel era. Of course, only 5 tracks. To my knowledge, there's no expanded edition yet, which is kind of shocking. You think at some point they would expand it. Maybe, who knows? I don't know the full story. If you know, let me know in the comments. But still, even though there's only 5 tracks, still some really a nice little insight on what the band sounded like at that point. So of course, by this point, they are starting to get more well known, and Peter Gabriel's starting to really get crazy with his costumes. I mean, the front cover just kind of shows right there with that weird like mask thing, and you can kind of see the glow in the dark eyeliner between, which is kind of cool. But yeah, you have Watchers of the Sky, Get 'Em Out by Friday, Return of the Giant Hogweed, Musical Box, and closes out with to me, the definitive version of The Knife, of course, originally off their debut album. But yeah, again, still wish it was longer though. All right, we have Uriah Heep, and this is their live album from '73, if I'm not mistaken. So maybe not 50, maybe not 73. I can't remember, but sometime in the early '70s. And of course, very great. Again, Uriah Heep are kind of one of those underrated hard rock bands from the early '70s. David Byron, just a really underrated vocalist, and Mick Box, another very great guitar player. And of course, I also got to mention Ken Hensley, who was one of the main songwriters and keyboardist and acoustic guitar player. Actually, it is '73. It says so on the bottom. Anyhow, but yeah, this is a 2-disc set. Actually, yeah, it's a 2-disc set. Disc 1 pretty much has the entire live album, which is a lot of songs, by the way. Like, I'll show you the back here. Don't mind the cracks. It was a used copy when I got it, so forgive me for that. But it includes all that. So you have a lot of music here. And yeah, another really solid live album. Pretty good. When it comes to progressive rock, now this live album definitely gets a lot of praise, and that of course is Yes Songs, another 2-disc set. Lots of tracks here, pretty much has all the big songs you ever want to hear from Yes. Like, of course, it includes Close to the Edge, Roundabout, Heart of the Sunrise, I've Seen All Good People, and countless others. I mean, this is just stacked of some of their most well-known songs during this period. And of course, you have Alan White, who's the drummer at this point. Yeah, I know some people say the audio quality is not the greatest, and that's true. I still think the playing kind of overshadows that shortcoming in terms of the quality, but still very good, and some great artwork by Roger Dean too. Now this one I'm not sure if is a official live album. I I don't know if this is like a bootleg or something, but you know, Mickey sent this to me, so I'm grateful for that. And that's another Deep Purple live album, and that is Live at the California Jam. Of course, their performance there was quite memorable. Of course, this is during the Glenn Hughes and David Coverdale era, or the Mark III lineup, I should say. And again, still, the playing is still great. I mean, yeah, David and Glenn just killing it on the vocals. And of course, the show is pretty notorious for the fact that Richie pretty much ignited the whole stage in flames. So there's that. But regardless, I still think it's a kind of nice snapshot on where the band was at during that period, so I enjoy it. Another classic live album, of course, we have Kiss Alive. Whether this is actually live, it's been debated, but still, I'm still counting it. Why not? Because it is a classic, and this was the album that kind of put Kiss on the map. You know, they released a couple albums prior, and they sold decently well, but this definitely made them a household name, and for good reason, because yeah, there's a lot of great songs on here. I mean, if you're a Kiss fan, this is always going to be a fun listen. You have Deuce, you have Strutter, of course you have Rock and Roll All Night, Black Diamonds, countless others. So definitely had to get this one in the collection. Okay, we have Blue Oyster Cult, not my only Blue Oyster Cult album, or live album to be specific, and that is On Your Feet and On Your Knees. Of course, this was during their early period, so this pretty much covers the first 3 albums, basically. And again, Blue Oyster Cult, great rock band, hard rock at its finest. Again, it comes with like Subhuman, which one of my favorites of this period. Let's see, you have Harvest of Eyes. See, Seven Screaming Diz Busters. Then you have the Red and the Black, of course. Then you have a cover of Born to Be Wild, which is kind of cool. But yeah, really cool. Then we have Frampton Comes Alive, another classic live album. Of course, this is Peter Frampton's, this is what made him a household name. I mean, his guitar work, the use of the talk box is just legendary, and a lot of these songs are still played on radio, like the version of Show Me the Way and Baby I Love Your Way. Again, classic rock at its finest, and again, the whole album just has that same quality. Now, I think I've said in the past that this is probably my favorite live album, and I still stand by that, I think. Of course, we have Paul McCartney and Wings with Wings Over America. Of course, it's Paul McCartney, and of course you have Linda McCartney and Denny Lane, of course, and yeah, there's just so many songs that sound really good here. Of course, you have Venus and Mars. Then there's Maybe I'm Amazed, and there's some Beatles covers too, like Lady Madonna, The Long and Winding Road, Blackbird, Yesterday, but other great standouts like Live and Let Die, silly love songs. Band on the Run, of course. I mean, My Love. Yeah, it has pretty much some of the great Paul McCartney songs you want on this live album. So definitely a must, especially if you're a McCartney fan. Now, I do have another Genesis live album, and that is Genesis Seconds Out. Of course, this is during the Phil Collins era. Of course, not the pop era that most people know, but this is still that period where they're still considered progressive rock. Again, Phil's killing it on the vocals. He does a really good job, even on the Peter Gabriel stuff. Like of course, you have Carpet Crawlers, For the Fifth, I Know What I Like, The Musical Box, Lies Down on Broadway, and then you have Supper's Ready, which he does a really great job as well. And then you have songs from from Trick of the Tail, of course. You have Squonk, you have Robbery, Assault and Battery, Los Endos. So yeah, and you have a little bit from Wind and Wuthering with Afterglow. And I believe this is one of the last releases before Steve Hackett left the band. But still, this is a really good one too. I don't know which one I like better. I don't know if I like this one or Genesis Live more, but you be the judge. Okay, after that, we have Cheap Trick, Live at the Budokan. Of course, another one Mickey sent, and that, of course, is this one. Another classic. To some people, it has the definitive version of I Want You to Want Me, of course. yeah, I mean, again, the playing on here is power pop at its finest. I still need to listen to it more. Again, this was very recent, so I don't have a lot to say on it, but I enjoyed it. And here is another Blue Oyster Cult album. We have Some Enchanted Evening. A little bit later in their catalog, only 7 songs here. Of course, you have more songs. You have Don't Fear the Reaper, Are You Ready to Rock, ETI, Astronomy. Yeah, pretty good one. And the cover's pretty cool too. I like the kind of the Grim Reaper on horseback there. It's kind of interesting. But yeah, pretty good stuff as well. Okay, here's another one I bought recently. And I showed this on my November CD haul this year. And of course, we have this UFO Strangers in the Night box set. Again, I'll go through it quickly again, but of course this includes not just the original LP, but also all the shows they took in order to make the live album itself. So it has shows from Illinois, a show from Wisconsin, 3 shows from in Ohio, and 1 show from Kentucky. So it's kind of cool they do that they kind of include everything here. And yeah, the packaging is really nice, comes in a very sturdy box, and they do replicate the album artwork pretty well. And yeah, I mean, I have the UFO poster back there, so yeah, this was another very fun listen. Again, Michael Schenker, just a very, very incredible guitar player. Again, if you have not heard Michael Schenker in anything, do yourself a favor. Go find some Michael Schenker, whether in UFO, Michael Schenker Group, what have you, because he definitely deserves more praise. All right, let's keep moving. Now, this next one I have, kind of more like a bootleg. It's not, I don't think it's an official live album, but I found it at a record store and it was kind of cheap. So, and of course I love this person to death, so I feel like I had to get it. And that's Kate Bush, and this is called The Tour of Life. So again, I feel like it's a bootleg because, you know, there's not really a whole lot of information on here. According to this was recorded at the Manchester, UK Apollo on April 10th, 1979. Another 2 CD pack. So if I open it up, again, another reason why I think it's a bootleg is because the disc does look kind of cheap. In terms of the design, at least, kind of a bit simple, not quite elegance like Kate usually. Even the booklets feels cheap as well. So this is during her world tour, her only real world tour. Of course, this has mainly a lot of the early stuff, like her first 2 albums. Like, of course, you have Kick Inside, then you also have, let's see, God, what's her second? Lionheart. Again, I'm blanking right now. Maybe it's the Santa hat. But anyhow, so again, you have pretty much all the songs you want to hear, and a little bit. And by the way, a little bit of songs from Never Forever as well. That's included here. What's interesting about this is that the bonus tracks are actually taken from separate like TV appearances in Japan. So the bonus tracks is Another Day, which is a duet with Peter Gabriel. Then you have Moving. There's actually 2 Beatles covers. So if you want to hear Kate Bush sing some Beatles songs, I guess you can try and find it. I'm not sure. I highly doubt it's on streaming, but you can probably Google some of this stuff. She does a cover of She's Leaving Home and The Long and Winding Road. So pretty interesting. Again, the audio is not that great, honestly. Again, another reason why I think it's a bootleg is because the audio just kind of not that great, but still kind of a nice collector piece, I guess. Okay, Mickey sent this one. We have Judas Priest, Unleashed in the East. Again, I've talked about this recently, so I'll make it quick, but again, I mean, the band sounds fantastic, and Rob is just out of this world. Again, he had to record his vocals separately because his voice wasn't that good on the actual recording, so he kind of re-recorded his vocals, but regardless, still badass. All right, let's go back to some jazz. Here's some jazz fusion from Japan. And the band is called, I'm pretty sure I still am going to butcher it, but Cassiope? Whatever it's called, whatever they're called, but the album's called Mint Jams. Yep, instrumental jazz fusion and some fantastic playing on here. Just love the piano, the bass, the drums, like everything on here is so good. And the fact is, if you were to hear this, you would think it's a studio album because they actually removed a lot of the audience sound. Only a few times you hear it, but it's only for like very specific moments. But again, if you were to go in blindly, you would probably think it's a studio album. Whether that's a good or a bad thing, again, that's up to you. But regardless, some great stuff here. Alright, so this came from one of my 5-in-1 box sets that I have up there. And this is the Doobie Brothers, the Farewell Tour. Now, if you don't know, in the 80s, the Doobie Brothers kind of decided to call it quits. Of course, that didn't last long because they're still touring today. But this was originally supposed to be their farewell tour. And you have Michael McDonald here at this point as well. So it's kind of a blend of each era. You have the Tom Johnston era and the Michael McDonald period. Pretty solid. It's not one of my favorite live albums I've heard. It's kind of okay. Again, I kind of prefer the studio songs. This is, like I said, this is one of those examples where I would rather hear the studio stuff than what's on here. So, but that's just a me thing. Again, let me know your thoughts on this live album. Yet another Deep Purple live album that makes sense, and this one is Nobody's Perfect. I'm assuming this was actually, but I forgot what year this was. 1988, I think. So there we go. Again, you have Ian Gillan here. He's in the band again, and again, you can kind of tell his voice isn't what it used to, but some solid performances here. It has Highway Star on here. It has Strange Kind of Woman, Child in Time, Black Knight, Hush. So yeah, pretty much it's basically a greatest hits live album, basically. Solid. All right, then we have more Genesis. So we have Genesis Live, The Way We Walk. I have both volumes 1 and 2. So I bought volume 1 by myself, and Mickey sent me volume 2. So yeah, we have the whole collection basically. So part 1 is pretty much has all the pop stuff, and disc 2 has the more proggy stuff. Decent. Again, I kind of prefer the studio stuff, honestly, especially on this disc. It's kind of interesting to hear the prog stuff played in the 90s. But again, I think some of these songs, they sound better on Seconds Out, I think. But yeah, still pretty nice. Alright, I do have a couple of these. Of course, we have MTV Unplugged, and I have Eric Clapton, probably one of the most well-known of these. That and Nirvana, but I don't have Nirvana, unfortunately. But yeah, this is a pretty nice box here. You have 3 discs. You have disc 1, which is the original album, and disc 2 has some outtakes and alternative versions, and disc 3 is the whole show on DVD. So pretty cool, you got the whole show on here. But yeah, overall, I enjoy it. It's not one I play that often because, again, I can only listen to so much acoustic versions of rock songs for very long. But again, that's just a me thing. So there you have it. Right, now let's take a big leap. We have some black metal, and here's Mayhem. And this is live in Leipzig. I don't know if I pronounce it right, but it's German basically. So again, Norwegian black metal. Of course, Mayhem is one of the kind of the pioneers of it, or definitely the one that helped popularize it. Of course, this is one of the few releases they released under their most with their most well-known singer, and that of course is Dead. That's his stage name, Dead. Pretty fitting, I must say. There he is back there. So basically, what a black metal live album sounds, it basically sounds like they just got the most cheapest recorder, and then they just put the recorder next to the amps, and boom, there you have it. That's how they recorded it. No real mixing, just They just got what they got, put it onto disc and vinyl. Yep. Obviously, if you're not a black metal fan, you're not gonna like this at all. But if you have the stomach for it, still pretty brutal stuff, but pretty cool too. Not their beliefs or anything. It's a whole story of what the people in the black metal community did during that time, but still, we're just gonna move on. Don't judge me. Okay, we have another MTV Unplugged. We have 1,000 or 10,000 Maniacs. I mean, I only got it because I heard their version of Because the Night by Patti Smith Group, and yeah, I mean, the lead singer, I really enjoy her voice. And the rest of the album is pretty good too. Kind of 90s rock, alternative rock sort of thing. But yeah, her vocals are very nice and very pleasant. So let me know what your thoughts on 10,000 Maniacs is. And another Deep Purple live album Mickey sent. And this one is Live at the Olympia, 96. Definitely a lot of songs here. Of course, this is during the Steve Morse era. So no Richie Blackmore, you have Steve Morse, and he's great on the album. You have Fireball, Maybe I'm a Leo, Ted the Mechanic, kind of a song I'm not too familiar with, but maybe at some point I'll get the album. The Perpendicular Waltz, Rosa's Cantina, When a Blind Man Cries, Highway Star. So a nice blend of old songs and songs that were new at the time. So pretty interesting. This one I'm not even sure if it counts. This is a band called Head East, and it's called Concert Classics Volume 7, and a lot of this are live cuts, so I guess I'll include it. Some solid stuff here. Not one of my favorite ones though. The music's kind of generic sounding, if that makes sense. I don't know. It's fine, but yeah, I'm not sure. I don't know about this one. And my only Rush live album, I know that's shocking. So this one is Working Men. This was to celebrate their 30th anniversary, which you can kind of see on that sign there. So you have Limelight, Spirit of Radio, 2112. Well, not the whole 2112, just the beginning, the overture and Temples of Syrinx, excuse me. Free Will, Dreamline, Far Cry, Subdivisions, One Little Victory, Close to the Heart, Tom Sawyer, Working Man, and YYZ. Pretty good. I know to most people there are way better Rush live albums, but this is all I have right now. So maybe I'll get those more well-known live albums at some point. And I'm gonna finish out with a really good one here, and I'm pretty much saying that because I am biased, because I love this individual, and that is Kate Bush once again. This is Before the Dawn. This was back in, I can't remember, 2014, somewhere around there, maybe 2014, 2015, 2016, somewhere around that. Kate Bush did a small tour in London, in England, and yeah, they released it. And yeah, again, I'm biased because I love Kate so much. So this is a 3 CD pack. So disc 1, or act 1 as they call it, you have a lot more individual songs. You have songs like Hounds of Love, Top of the City, Never Be Mine, Running Up That Hill, of course, King of the Mountain. So not too long, only 7 tracks. Act 2 is pretty cool because they pretty much play the entirety of the second side of Hounds of Love, also known as the Ninth Wave. So pretty cool that she plays it in its entirety. Again, Hounds of Love is my favorite Kate Bush album, so again, I love to hear it. And I gotta say, Kate Bush still sounds great. Again, she's a lot older, so she can't really hit those high notes as she's known for, but it still sounds like Kate, and that's all I need to hear. So Act 3 is the entirety of the second side, or the second disc of Ariel, which was her 2005 album. So again, you have a nice mixture on here. So again, I'm like I've been saying, I'm biased, but yeah. What do you want me to do? Okay, so that is all the live albums I currently own in my CD collection. So you can let me know in the comments which one of these was your favorite, and if there's one you think I should check out, again, feel free to let me know in the comments. So other than that, I'll see you in the next video. So again, leave a like, subscribe if you're new, and I'll see you then. Take care and goodbye for now.